Hey guys, this stool right here used to look like this. Actually, both of these did. So this video, I'm going to show you how I was able to get them both looking pretty good. I had some difficulties. Camera shut off while I was upholstering the first one, which in my opinion turned out the best. The other one has a couple wrinkles, but it still looks good. That's this one. Sweetness is happy with them, so that's what matters. It's a pretty long video. I split it into chapters. I put time stamps below. If you want to see a specific spot of the video, you can just go to the description and hit the timestamps. It'll take you there. The upholstering section where I reupholstered it, I used the video from the second stool. I used everything else from the first stool. I got done reupholstering the first stool and noticed the camera had shut off on me. So luckily I had a second stool that I had to do and I was able to capture that footage. You'll be able to tell because I used the material that I was going to use to cover these. It's a lighter brown she didn't like. I used that to cover the counter. So you'll see that in that part of the video only. Didn't take much and a lot of patience, a lot of determination, and then I ended up with stools that looked pretty good in my opinion. I think they look new compared to the way they looked before. Step 2 is going to be the tools that I use to do this project with. More than likely you're going to need some or all of the same tools. I'm going to start with what is a necessity for a project like this, a cordless electric stapler. You can use a non-electric or a plugged-in electric as well, but the cordless was awesome. You're going to need probably a flathead Phillips head screwdriver. I used a flathead to help pull the staples and the Phillips head to tighten the screws down, holding the seat cushion onto the stool frame by hand. You're going to see that in the video. A pair of pliers is going to come in really handy. Needle nose recommended to help pull staples, especially if they break. You're going to want a real staple puller. You're going to see that I tried to do it without one, and I ended up stopping the video and going to get one. And it was a game changer, although still it was kind of a pain in the butt pulling staples. There's a lot of them. A hammer comes in handy. If you break the staples, you want to pound them down into the wood. That's what I use the hammer for. Scissors, cut the material. Razor knife, also to cut the material. You can use whatever one you want. A marker or a pen to mark the material if you want to, and then a drill. So I use a drill with a Phillips bit in it so that I can unscrew the seat cushion from the frame and then reattach it. First of all, we gotta get the stool off of the frame. This one, you can see the screws holding the seat on right there. There's 4 screws. Carefully just carefully take them out. Now the frame just lifts off. If you don't want to use it for a stool anymore, you can just put a board on it, use it as a lazy Susan for your plant. Now we want to get these staples out. We do have a staple puller that makes things easier, but of course I don't have one. Pin puller, small screwdriver. I'm just going to use the screwdriver to get up under these, pop them up a little, and then I'll go back around with this pin puller here. So the staple pullers are skinnier than this. If I could have ground this down and made one, and then they can get in there a lot easier and you can just pull it all in one swipe. But it's going to take a little longer, but I meant to go get one while I was out fairly inexpensive, make your job a little bit easier. So this is just the outside layer to make it look pretty, and then got to pull all the staples that hold the original fabric on. See, this is just too wide to get in there. A pair of needle nose. Just gonna go back around, pull up all the staples. You can see underneath they have this piping, it's called, I think, in upholstery. They made it and they put it over to make it look fancy. Well, that's going to be on the bottom. We're not going to do that. So I got these staples to pull, and then underneath the piping a whole bunch of staples. So that's it. So that piece is off. Now we got to start on this piping. Hope that's the right term. Just monotonous, pain in the butt, a whole bunch of staples. And you can see under the piping is, look at all those staples. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that all uncovered. You don't need to see that, it'll be way too long. Just rip the piping off. Changed my mind. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this material, take it off. I think it might be easier to get to the staples. If I can work from the outside in. Maybe I'll just keep doing that. See how many I can get loose. This might have to wait. Go get a staple remover. I have a feeling it'll be easier, so I'm gonna exchange this for the right tool. Picked up this staple puller. I tell you, it does make it easier, but it is still the biggest pain in the butt. You can see how many staples are still in here. So let me fill you in. I wanted to try it out before I turn on the camera. It's very frustrating. The staples keep breaking. So what I did was I cut the cloth off around the top here to see if it would make it easier to get to the staples. It does not. It's still a pain in the butt. I stabbed myself with the staple puller, it slipped. A lot of staples are busted off in there. They just keep busting. But how this thing works is it'll slide in underneath the staple. Hope you can see it. And you just kind of work it. And what I found out is don't pull up right away because it doesn't really work. Just keep pushing it, and it's wedged. So if you keep just wiggling it into the staple, it'll slowly pull the staple out of the wood. Now look how hard it is without the fabric on there. See, it worked well and it pulled the staple out whole. Now you add in having this padding and the vinyl. It really is a pain in the butt. So I'm gonna pivot. I'm still okay with cutting it off, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this off. I'm gonna take this down to the shop and I'm gonna cut all these staples off. And then I'm gonna flip the board over. And this is gonna be the cushion side. So then I'll have a nice clean side here to staple to. So many of these staples, see, you can hear them. See how the staple puller is stopping? So many of these have busted that I'm worried that when I go to staple, I'm just gonna keep hitting the old staples. I also thought about using this as a template, going out and get another piece of 5/8 press board and just cutting a new one, but it has two sides, so I can just flip it over. This just isn't my type of fun DIY right here. I want to make the stools look nicer because this vinyl leather was all, you know, the cracking and the finish, whatever you call it. The brown stuff was all flaking off because I guess it dried out. The stools are old, but they're really nice. I mean, this is just a pain in the tuchus here. Maybe I just haven't figured out the true way to do it. Where there's some cushion, like right here, if I can get it pushed down enough, kind of wiggle it, it'll pop them out. But that's the hard part. See, that one's not given. Nothing is gonna be easy on this, so. I'm getting there. Got it all off of there. You might want to wear gloves on your other hand too, because I kept raking it on the staple sticking up. So I'm gonna try to just file all these down. Could just hammer them. Not bad, not bad. That sucked. It sucked bad. But it's over and I did it. I didn't give up. So I cleaned the bench up here. So I do suggest wearing gloves, especially if they're breaking apart like mine were. The cushion's gonna go down on that. And then I'm gonna staple in the fresh side. And I hope it works out. All right. Back up here. See, this is the side that had all the staples in it. Just gonna put that like that. Now I got a fresh, clean surface to staple my material on. This is what I was using to put all the broken staples so I didn't get it all over the counter. This came in handy, put on the counter, put all the trash. She's at a family's house for Thanksgiving, so you can do stuff like that. You can turn your kitchen into your workbench. It's not bad now because I'm done. It sucked. Sucked. Now, I know I gotta do two, so I wanna see if it's gonna be enough. I only got 1 yard, so this is 1 yard by 1 yard. Dog just farted. Feel better? Don't sniff it. For two 16-inch round stools, it should be all it's gonna take. I'm gonna do a rough cut on that. I just folded it in half. I'm gonna mark inside of each seam and I'm gonna eyeball it. Doesn't have to be perfect because it's all going to get folded up on the bottom side anyway. See how I got folded up? I just stuck the pen on the inside of the fold, and I'm just making a mark both ends, and then I can eyeball it. That's how I'm going to do it. You can do it however you want. If you want to make sure you got a nice straight line, go ahead, but nobody's going to see it. So you can see my eyeballing isn't that great when it comes to cutting cloth. Now, Christmas presents, my eyeballing is dead on. All right, so we're gonna take this, we're gonna put it right in the center. I think I'm gonna cut some more off of this so I don't have so much. As long as that can get around, that can get around. Cut about a fist length away. There, can make a little stool now. A baby stool. A baby stool. So this top stuff was actually wrapped around and stapled like that, but I'm just gonna have to rely on the material to hold it because I cut it. And what I have is this cordless stapler that I bought, shocker, off of Amazon. Biomire, I don't know, it's a little 4-volt cordless stapler. I don't do much with staplers, so I figured this might work. There's the power switch, should be charged up. The safety green light comes on when it's good, bam. Should work good. This thing came with a bunch of staples, long and short. So you got some longer ones, shorter ones. I'll put a link down below if it works good. I mean, I'll put it down there. We're gonna find out if it works good. So get your stool. I've already told you I've never done this before, but it seems pretty common sense. I watched a couple videos, there's some really good ones out there. And basically everybody said to stretch the material, staple 180 degrees, and then do the opposite corners. And then that's how you're gonna start. And then you're slowly gonna work it in. Well, I got a heat gun. I'm gonna heat this stuff up so it molds easier because we want a nice rounded, I don't want any folds on the ends. So we're gonna see how that works. Okay, what you missed was me actually pulling the material, wrapping it over, and then stapling, and then going across to the other side, pulling the material, stretching it tight, and then wrapping it over, and then doing the other corners. And this is what we're left with right now. The camera turned off, I didn't know. Luckily, I just stopped here anyway, and I checked, and I didn't miss very much. What I have here is, if you saw my YouTube short, it's a cordless heat gun from Harbor Freight. I have an 8 amp hour battery, so it should be plenty. What I'm gonna do is heat up this vinyl, and then hopefully I'll be able to mold it a little better. Twice now, I didn't know the camera shut off. Did the whole seat. This is what it looks like. Turned out pretty good. I used the heat gun to help. Good thing is I still have another stool to do. So again, I missed this. So I'm gonna go over it. I use these holes to put the staples, the first 4 staples. Staple 1, pull the material out, stretch it, fold it over, staple through this material. Then do the opposite side, stretch it, pull it over, and then staple it through the 1/4 inch top layer of foam. Then do the other two holes, you know, perpendicular. And then that's how we got to this point. If you do not have holes drilled in your seat base like this, go ahead and drill it before you start covering it. These holes are air holes, so that we're covering it with vinyl or any type of material like this, leather or anything. When you sit down, it lets the air escape through these holes so it doesn't turn into a gigantic whoopee cushion. Unless that's what you want, then go ahead and leave the whoopee cushion effect on it. But if you drill the holes, it'll let the air out and let the air back in when you sit and get back off of it. It's what makes the stool a little bit nicer. So go ahead and drill those holes. The dog is still hunting flies. The video appears to be staying on. I'm gonna check it every few staples, I guess. So then, after I did the 4 sides, you go to the center. Now let me just do one. So pick 2 of the staples, go to the middle one, pull it out, up and over. Make sure there's no wrinkles on the outside edge. Staple it through the 1/4" foam. This is where I start using the heat gun because you can see it's starting to wrinkle. And we're gonna keep going in between the staples in the center until we get all the wrinkles worked out. So I'm gonna heat this up. This heat gun works really good. It's got an 8 amp hour battery on it, so it lasts forever. The heat gun, something like this, uses a lot of electricity, so you need a bigger battery. And then the fan stays on to cool it down. So go in between these staples and then pull it, staple it again, and now we're going to start working out the wrinkles. We want the wrinkles up over top, not on the side. If you remember what it looked like before, I'm just pulling it and pushing it over to get the wrinkles, but you gotta be careful, I guess. This is where I get lucky because I'm just winging it right now and I'm trying to explain to you what I'm doing. The goal is so you don't have wrinkles showing. And occasionally I had to pull staples out and then redo it. That's okay. And then I guess you got to be careful how tight you pull it because you might see a little bit. So just heat it up and then push all the wrinkles up over the top and staple them. So I'm just gonna make a row of staples all the way around, and then I might, depending on how it turns out, go back and back those staples up with another set of staples. But you wanna keep the folds on the underside. Like that, and then it's going to look like that. It's not bad. The camera's still on, so now I'm going to go in between 2 other staples, and I'm going to pull the vinyl again and then wrap it over and make sure I don't have any wrinkles on the outside of the stool. I'm actually going to go with 2 staples this time. And this is where I had to pull a staple on the other seat because it started bunching up, but I'm going to see if I can make this work. I'm going to heat it up, See if we can get it to mold. If not, I'll just pull this other staple. You just have to heat it up a little bit. And then you want to pull them wrinkles. Start working it back this way. See, that's too big of a wrinkle. I'm going to pull that staple. Don't put your staple puller away. I forgot that might have to pull a couple. So I'm going to pull this staple. The new ones come out a little easier. And now I'm just going to go between the two closest staples, and I'm going to pull and wrap and staple. So now I can work between these two staples again and kind of see the pattern here. Just keep pulling the wrinkles up over the top. Well, it's the bottom actually, but not turning out as good as the other one. Don't know why. Don't be afraid to pull the staples. You gotta do what you gotta do to make it look decent. Sometimes you gotta pull it up and then angle it after you get it over this corner. It's hard to explain. I'm not even doing a good job on this one. My other one turned out really good, and I don't know what I did different, so. So I just kind of pulled straight back, leave some gaps. When you get it, I think that's what I did there is I was pulling at an angle. I might have to go back and redo that. That's fine. This is where I'm going to heat it up, see if I can get this to mold. I think that's why you go in between the staples. You want to pull the material straight so that you don't get the wrinkles on the outside, and that's not what I was doing. So I'm going to end up pulling a few more staples to fix it. Material's got to be pulled straight over the corner so you don't get this wrinkle look like I got there. And I'm trying to figure out how to do it so that I can relay it to you, but it's kind of a... Eventually you have to twist the material, and it's... You just got to kind of feel it. Gotta pull the material straight up over. And this is what I want. See how I got these two wrinkles up top, so then I can staple those wrinkles and it keeps the material looking straight. Don't overheat it. That's causing it to stretch with the wrinkles. Warm it up a little. Pull it straight up over and then get rid of the wrinkle, staple it, and then you can work out. See, I don't know. The other one I did perfectly good. Am I pulling it too tight? It doesn't look like it. What was different? I'm definitely trying to pull straight back on the first staple, like right here, and then kind of work these wrinkles up without stretching too hard, because that's, if you, oh. was stapling it further back for the first one. It's not the greatest, and it's probably not what you're looking for. I got wrinkles in the side. There's nothing that I can do about it now. I've already stretched this material. I was pretty confident that when I got to this part, I would be able to show you how to do this good, because the first one I did came out really well, and I don't know what the difference is because I did heat the other one up. I mean, all I can say is I can continue to pull staples, but these creases here, I think is from overheating and pulling too hard. So from the top, it doesn't look bad. I got something under it right there that I don't like, and I don't know if I can get it. I don't know if that's a staple. Don't really want to redo all this, but there's something hard under there, and I don't want it to ruin the seat and have to do this all over again. Sorry, the dog is chasing its tail. I've ignored the dog today. Yep, had a staple in there. Glad I went after it. There was a bump. There was a bump showing. Did you get your tail, Ember? Not yet. Just going to try to minimize these wrinkles the best I can. On the top it looks okay, but I do got some wrinkles showing through on the sides, and I just think I overstretched it. This is only the second one I've ever done, so the first one came out great, so I was pretty confident going into this one. So what I did on the other one is I went around and I reinforced all the wrinkles, double layer staple. I don't know why, it just seemed like a good idea. In my mind, if one staple starts pulling out, it's good to have a backup. And it helps flatten out all these folds. All right, that was just to reinforce. I mean, it doesn't, that fold is pretty bad. It doesn't look horrible to me. This one, there's no folds. I did a good job. Anyway, I'm gonna get over that. I'm gonna cut all this excess off. I do like the double layer just in case the staples start pulling out, because people start squirming on that stuff. Just don't know what's gonna happen, and I don't want to have to do this again. Like, if I decide to do it because I don't like the wrinkles and I want to give it another shot, that's different. Or Sweetness, she might not like this color. She didn't like the light color, so I went to the store and got this color. And in the store, it looked different than it does at home. I don't mind it. So I'm just cutting the excess away so we can put the backing on. I used a razor blade to do this and the other one. It's probably easier. All right, we got all that done. You can go around, staple these edges down if you want. I just figured it'd be easier for me to put this back on. If you want to know how this is aligned so you can screw in your screws, maybe remember your orientation. So my screw holes are right above. I don't want to go there. I want to go into new wood with the screws, so I'm going to have this straight up and down, if that makes sense. So line this up the best you can. And do the same thing. I'm going to go top to bottom, just make sure I got it positioned right. And then just do the other corners. You know, and then now I can go in between the staples just like I was trying to do. You know, there's two staples. I'm going to go right in the middle. There's two staples. I'm going to go in the middle. And then I'm going to go around and go in the middle again. Good. Turn your stapler off. Clean up all the garbage because I don't want to ruin the seat. Twice now I didn't know the camera shut off. Did the whole seat. This is what it looks like. Turned out pretty good. I used the heat gun to help. Good thing is I still have another stool to do, so hopefully I can get it filmed for you. I just got to line the chair up as centered as I can, possibly can, and then screw it back on. It's really hard to eyeball it with the cushion padding. I like to finish it off by hand. So you can kind of feel if it's going to strip. All right, moment of truth. Looks pretty good. I mean, there's a couple little imperfections, but all in all, I think it looks pretty good. Looks better than that. That's been worn. I don't know. I pulled it kind of tight, but I don't know. I think it looks good. What do you think? You think Sweetness is gonna like it when she gets home? She's not gonna like all that on the counter, but we won't tell her. As long as she doesn't watch, we'll be okay.